Hello friends and welcome to the Weekend Catch Up Club, the coffee morning show brought to you live every Saturday direct to Facebook and available later on catch up at youtube.com/gamertagged. Today's episode is going to be a very special one. Earlier in the week I was extremely fortunate to sit down with Becky Frost, who is the community events and volunteer coordinator at SpecialEffect's, and I'm going to play that interview for you in full right now. Enjoy. I guess the plan is to have just a fun informal chat about your role at SpecialEffect's, explaining to our audience who may not be aware of who SpecialEffect's are, what they do for enabling gamers with accessibility issues, and how just amazing SpecialEffect's are, and I'm sure we're going to get into what is making the headlines over on Twitter this past week.
I am absolutely
Can you believe that what's going on?
So I've put out a couple of tweets that are like, and that's not an exaggeration. Those are direct quotes. Like, I am dumbfounded.
I was shocked because I was kind of late to the Fall Guys, I guess, like getting on the bandwagon, and I just played it for the first time last night, but I was aware of obviously it just exploding like crazy because it's free on PlayStation Plus, so everybody's now got kind of access to it. And I wasn't aware of, in their words, the corporate thirst to get their skins in this little jelly bean person.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a wonderful PR move from their team to say, look, we're getting all of these crazy like numbers thrown at us to get like a Virgin Media branded skin on our characters. How about we'll just do like a bidding war for the next 2 weeks. Highest bidder gets a skin in the game, and all proceeds go to SpecialEffect's. That is just incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's they kind of came to us with the idea and went, would you be okay with this? We were like, yes.
Totally.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's this really just incredibly generous, incredibly thoughtful move from them, and a very savvy move, I think, as well. Like you say, the corporate thirst is high. And just kind of harnessing that and saying, yeah, okay, you want to get involved, like, step up, is just such a them move. Ollie's been, who's their social media manager, has just been absolutely fantastic throughout the whole launch and up to recently, and it's so in keeping with their brand to be like, all right, cool. Yeah, you want to get involved? Here you go.
Yeah, I love the fact that they just did it all for charity as well, because it would have been very easy to say, oh, yeah, just pay us like a ton of cash and we'll get your skin in the game, sort of thing. Whereas they just said, we'll make this like a huge like online like kind of challenge where all proceeds go to this just amazing charity. So speaking of this amazing charity, please tell everybody about SpecialEffect's and the work that they do.
Yeah, sure. So SpecialEffect's are a UK-based charity who help people with severe physical disabilities to access the crazy and wonderful world of video games. And that can open up so many opportunities for people to, be included and be creative and just be part of the game, for want of a better word. And yeah, that's the crux of what we do, is to help people with severe physical disabilities to access video games by making these custom controller setups or coding software. It completely depends on the individual as to what the solution will be for them. So we have people get in touch with us and say, here's what's holding me back from gaming. Here are the movements that I do have. Here are the games that I want to play. Here's the console that I want to play them on. That all these factors kind of go into the pot, and then our team of occupational therapists will go out and actually meet with them pre-COVID, all of this, obviously.
Sure.
We'll meet with them in their homes, or they can come to us in our games room in Oxfordshire, and we'll set them up with a system that works well for them, works well for the games that they want to play, and is, safe and functional. And of course, over time, games change, conditions change.
Sure.
So we're a lifelong service as well. We've been working with several people for years and years, and over time, their taste in games have changed. They've got a bit older. They've, moved on from Peppa Pig to FIFA, that kind of thing. And as I say, conditions change as well. So a lot of the times conditions deteriorate, or in some cases get a bit better. And we're there to adapt those already adapted controllers to be as safe and functional for people as possible.
Can you tell me a little bit about that process? Is it really just as simple as like somebody just literally getting in touch with you to say, can you help? And then it's just kind of taken from there. Is there, is that like did they have to apply like for a grant to get funding for this kind of stuff, or is it all handled via Special Effect and the donations and the funding that you guys get?
So everything that we do for people is completely free of charge.
Yeah.
The equipment that we loan out is loaned on a very long term basis, and if the people want to sort of fundraise to have this after to have it permanently, they can do that. But it's a very long term loan.
Yes,
if you catch my drift, like we're never going to be knocking on people's doors being like, okay,
demanding it back. Yeah.
So the work that we provide for people is completely free of charge, and always will be. So we are kept going entirely by donations, entirely by gamers doing things like Game Blast for us, or companies taking part in things like One Special Day, or doing crazy stuff like the Fall Guys. A lot have just started doing. There's no need for people who are looking for our help to worry about the financial side of things, because they've already got enough on their plate to worry about usually.
Speaking of the charitable donations and the fundraising, one of the things that myself and my friends love to do, and I actually held it up just before we started our call, is we always get a thank you letter and a little personal message for raising money for Game Blast. It's something that it's a charity that is very dear to our gaming community and my kind of close friends and family as well. But the sheer, like every year Game Blast, we missed it this year actually. But every year February comes around, Game Blast is such this huge, it's turned into this massive global thing. I mean, it's just incredible to see so many companies and brands just getting on board, doing their 24-hour or 48-hour charity marathon streams. But also there's a whole bunch of other stuff now that I've noticed after a quick look at your website this morning. I noticed there's lots of new like virtual events that people can now do. So pre-COVID, obviously, there was like fun runs and like marathons, which are very kind of normal for like charity fundraising, these kind of physical challenges. But now virtual events have really kind of taken over. Are you seeing that you're still getting like a really good uptick in like these virtual events that are still kind of people wanting to fundraise for?
Yeah, absolutely. We were blown away by the response to the British 10K. So usually the British 10K or the London 10K, I forget what it's called now. But it's a 10K around London, like around the amazing landmarks, really amazing atmosphere on the day. And we, in previous years, have had a massive team of people from the games industry, of gamers. Those gamers who like to run. I'm not one of them. I don't know. But yeah, we've got an amazing team of people who take part on a yearly basis, and it's kind of grown in those years to be this really cool event in our calendar. People dress up, so obviously we were really gutted when we realized that we wouldn't be able to do it in person this year. But my colleague Ellie has just absolutely got on it, and she handled it so that it was a virtual event and people could take part in their back garden or in their local park. This was back when during lockdown we were allowed like one period of exercise per day, so it was getting out and training as your exercise to really like get people motivated, because it's been weird times like for from a mental health point of view. I actually I said I'd take part, but I'd walk it because I think my knees would just leave my body if I tried to run it. So having that goal to get out and train for it every day and get walking and get exercising was really good as part of lockdown. But yeah, that was amazingly successful. We had a crazy uptake from the community around the world. I think we had people taking part on every continent except Antarctica, but we did have a guy in the Elite Dangerous community who is working out there in a research station, and he like held up a sign next to this amazing glacier saying like "Good luck from Antarctica." It's just as a tiny team, we're a tiny charity, like in comparison to others, and as such a small team, it's been incredible seeing the support from people. And yeah, I sorry, I'm babbling. And
no, not at all. Not at all. These are usually the best kind of conversations that we have without any real like structure or format. We just like
when are we going to start the interview? Is
this these are usually the best kind of conversations that I like to try and have. No, it's just amazing. And I remember my first, I think, awareness of Special Effect was back when, I think 2012. I know the charity started in 2007, but I think the first time I really got to find out about the charity was back in 2012 when myself and my friends went down to EGX for the very first time. It was back when it was in Earl's Court. And we got to visit the Special Effect booth. I think the previous year, my friend who used to work at the Daily Record did a Borderlands 24-hour stream, and then they were presenting the check to the team at Special Effect at their stand and doing like the photo op stuff. And that was the first time I really got to see firsthand what the work was like and the technology. I mean, this was almost 10 years ago. 8 years ago or thereabouts, but I remember getting hands-on with it was a rally driving game, an old PC game, maybe Colin McRae or something, and it was eye tracking, and that was the only form of input, and it blew my mind, the fact that you could the technology was such that it could track your eyes, your retinas just like moving left and right on the screen. And somebody who has that kind of physical disability where they cannot move like any appendage at all can still like enjoy racing games or whatever the game may be. That it completely blew my mind, and it made me quite, I guess, upset as well, because how much we take for granted just being able to go out for a walk or even I mean, I've been drinking my iced coffee on our chat this morning, just being able to just do that, pick up a cup. And it is incredible, just the work that, I mean, I can't praise Special Effect enough. And that advancement in technology is, of course, only growing and getting even more like higher fidelity in terms of what you guys can do, your team can do. And one of the things I really want to dig into, if we can, is the Xbox adaptive controller, because I think it was 2018 that came to the market roughly, but it's been in as a partnership that has been worked on, I'm sure, in the background for years. But what was incredible about that is, correct me if I'm wrong, absolutely, that it was the first time a major publisher or a major platform has delivered a control scheme, a control method, a piece of hardware that is for everybody, literally is for everybody. And it was with that partnership with Special Effects. So please, if you can, give us any kind of background information about the adaptive controller.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you say it was in development, and it was actually in development with our R&D team and under NDA for quite a long time. So even we didn't, like, part of the charity didn't know about it until like a few months before launch. And obviously it's just this I don't want to be really punny here, but it was genuinely a game changer for us. Before the Xbox Adaptive Controller, we were using bits of, like, several different bits of kits to kind of hack, for want of a better term, the controllers that we were using and make sure that these worked reliably and well for people. And then Xbox came along, Microsoft came along and said, we want to do this thing. It was very much a passion project for them as well. It was the accessibility team at Microsoft approached us and several other charities around the globe to kind of consult with and help them with the development side of things and the design side of things. And some of our service users were actually able to test it for them and kind of feedback. And they really listened. Like, yeah. I can't stress enough like how well they listened to people. And I mean, even down to the packaging that it comes in. The packaging is all really accessible.
Sure.
There's a really cool video like of the box kind of flying open and and all the sort of straps and why they're there to help people get stuff out of the box. And it's just they've set a really good example, I think, for other companies to go, look, that we've done this thing. We didn't have to. It's had this really positive impact. It's helped so many more people to game. And for us, it's, I mean, we use them in several of our setups now. And for us, it's made things a lot more streamlined.
Sure.
I guess, like, just that these things are so readily available just off the shelf to then adapt. And of course, like the controller itself, we use with several different adaptations, because the people that we work with do have severe physical disabilities and complex needs, and our occupational therapists are well equipped to deal with that. So while people could buy this off the shelf and adapt it for themselves, we're helping from a like an ergonomics point of view, a safety point of view, and our like 13 years of experience working with people really lends to that as well. Where am I in this explanation? What am I saying? Yeah, it's been a game changer. Yeah. And the fact that Phil Spencer, when it first came out, tweeted something like, hey, other companies, if you see this and you want to get involved, we will share our research with you.
Yeah.
So they're not being like, this is our thing now.
Yeah, it's not like it's proprietary tech that you have to go off and develop your own. Like we typically see with competitors, it is a case of, look, we've done all of this legwork. We've worked with Special Effect. This is how you do it. And if you want it to work for your platform, here, just take the research, take the data, and just enable as many.
Incredible. And like Logitech have really jumped on that and have brought out a set of buttons that. Switches that can be used with it, and the sort of the buddy boards and the there's just so much. Yeah, it's really opened up the conversation as well. That people have gone, oh yeah, people maybe I don't need this, but people do need it. And like you said, one of my favorite things about working events is seeing people who haven't seen us before discover us for the first time and go. Oh, I don't really understand like what this is, and then sitting down and trying a demo and you know, me explaining to them, or one of the amazing volunteer squad explaining to them like who we are, what we do, and why we do it, and them going, oh well, I don't need that, but I can totally, you know, understand why people would, or like you say, like people. We also work with people who have been in accidents and had catastrophic injuries. One of our main projects is called Stargaze. We go into hospitals and actually help people who have been paralyzed by setting them up with an eye gaze system, so that they're, you know, able to not only play games and you know, play Dirt 3 if they want to, but they can, you know, access Facebook and get in touch with their family and, you know.
So like, can you explain a little bit more about what Stargaze is as a project?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So as a charity, we have several different projects. We've got the Loan Library, which is our main kind of gaming arm, where we, you know, which I've already explained, we go and help people to access gaming. And we also have Stargaze, which is a project that doesn't have to be anything to do with gaming, but if people have been in catastrophic accidents and are in intensive care for long periods of time, we will go and set them up with a system to enable them to do something from their hospital bed. And oftentimes that can be incredibly needed, because if you've had a spinal injury, for example, and you need to be on bed rest for 3 months, say, I'm taking these off the top of my head, this is not a specific case I'm talking about, but like, just imagine, I mean, everyone's in lockdown at the moment, so imagine like,
well, it can be incredibly stressful on your mental health as well. If all of a sudden your mobility is taken away, it can be deeply traumatic. And so Stargaze is enabling some form of like independence, kind of connection to some of maybe the services or activities that people used to be able to do and take for granted.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I said recently it's been referred to as leisure technology, and the term's super dry.
Oh, no.
But yeah, like people take it for granted, like just accessing WhatsApp to tell your friends like, oh, I had a great latte today or something. And it's just bringing that control back for people and giving them the ability to control something and to communicate again. And oftentimes those people will then carry on to the loan library and be set up with gaming equipment or communication equipment that we can help them with.
Yeah. So we kicked off the chat today really like full into the flow of like Fall Guys and a bit of a background about Special Effect, without really speaking about your specific role as comms and events. So, I mean, 2020 is a bit of an anomaly as to your typical day to day. But maybe wind it back to maybe 2019, where things were a bit more normal, and events were happening a bit more regularly. What is the typical kind of stuff that you would be normally doing? That is, and we'll get into the 2020 version of that, I'm sure, at some point as well.
Sure. So me specifically.
Sure. Yeah. Just kind of like your role specifically, and also comms and events within Special Effect as well.
Sure. So. Hi, I'm Becky. My business card says that I'm the community events coordinator at Special Effect, and that basically back in 2019, when the world wasn't quite as crazy, that would mean that I was handling IRL events like EGX and Insomnia and Comic-Con, manning a stand there with a bunch of incredible volunteers who I help with the volunteer coordination at Special Effects as well, and really getting the message out there and talking to the public about who we are, what we do, etc. So that's kind of the events side of things, and that goes from massive events like EGX and Insomnia to smaller like community events like the amazing community around RuneScape to
RuneScape, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. RuneScape, wow.
So they have an amazing community event just before the big RuneFest event every year. I think they call it Noonfest, which sorry, I shouldn't drink. So they have this like great community event, and they do auctions of like fan made stuff for the game, and just those events for us, those community events are as important as the big events for us. It's the gamers coming together to help us keep going. And I can't stress enough like how amazing those events are. So yeah, it's a fantastic job. But in my day to day, I mean, from the communication side of things, you'll find me on Twitter a lot. So I'm always flitting around Twitter and helping with that. I help a bit with the website, and I do a bit of everything really. We're as I said before, we're a very small charity, so we're a very small team.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people who work for Special Effect are in that service delivery team, the occupational therapists
Mm-hmm.
who go out and actually do the work. So even smaller in this small team are the communications and fundraising team.
Yeah.
So we're all, I mean, a lot of tea and coffee is made during the day. Yeah, we're all, it's all a bit of everything, really.
That's awesome. And skipping forward to 2020, how has your lockdown been? How is like communication and organizing and that really been like impacted? We mentioned very kind of briefly at the beginning about typically occupational therapists would go out to assess anybody that needs like a custom controller or a setup. What is the impact on that, and how are you guys managing to still fulfill these needs for people, but also like what does Special Effect look like going forward for like the rest of the year, and maybe the long-term impact of having to do this stuff remotely? Has it helped you maybe develop like more virtual assessments, or is that just not possible, or what does it look like now?
That is a great question, and I do want to make the point that I do want to make the point that Special Effect are all of our staff are working from home. Still, we are well into lockdown, and the higher ups at Special Effect are taking it really seriously, because obviously we work with several people who are vulnerable, and we like the last thing we would want is to get anyone sick at all. So yeah, they're taking it very seriously, and we are working from home currently and for the foreseeable future. I am so proud of the service delivery team in this. They have adapted to working remotely incredibly. Like I feel like I can say that because it's like a separate team. But I'm in awe of the way that they've pivoted to online. So what we've started doing is, whereas before we would go out and visit people in their homes, assess, take like a van load of equipment and try different things, we've been doing video call assessments, either with the person themselves or with the person and their carer, just to go through like what the person's movement is, and maybe demonstrate that on screen if they can. And what games they want to play, what they have at home already, console-wise, etc., or PC-wise, and just getting as much of that done virtually as possible before the occupational therapists then get in touch with the admin team, who are a very, very small selection of people who are still going into the office one at a time. So one person will be like manning the office for 1 week and switching over. Usually that's a chap called Liam, who I keep mentioning in the stream, who will get all the required equipment together, clean it, pack it up, and send it off to the person. And then another call will be made where they'll help with setup. And
I can imagine
as much.
I can imagine the setup to can be maybe quite overwhelming for a person, or the person who's helping the person, to say, oh my goodness, this looks so complicated. Like where do we even begin? It's not like you get a set of IKEA instructions and you're building a drawer or something like that. So you really
Liam was saying that during this whole process, he's actually learning quite a lot about like what needs to go where. So as much as possible, we'll kind of have things plugged in, and everything's like color coordinated. So, the yellow wire goes into the yellow hole and it controls the yellow button. So the team have had a lot of practice making things as foolproof as possible for me, because I have to take these demos out to events, and I'm like, I can't set these up. Just before this call, I was like, how do I Skype? What do I do? So they are very good at at that explanation side of things, and making things as foolproof as possible, because they have to for me. And I'm a great practice person on that. I'm like, if Becky can do it, I'm pretty sure anyone can put it together. But that's where the that second call comes in. We'll walk people through how to set things up. And I'm going to say fine tuning, but it's obviously not as fine tuned as we'd like it to be.
Sure.
And a lot of people have asked the question, like, does this mean you can do, virtual assessments going forwards? And where, in some limited cases, Special Effect has helped people, all over the world. We've helped people in Brazil through video calls and back and forth, that kind of thing. Oh, good, the bin men are here. Perfect timing. Whereas we do that occasionally, it's not ideal for us because we do like to have the setups being ergonomically safe and as good as they possibly can be for people, because it's very important to us that they are safe. And not saying that they're unsafe now, but we, when lockdown is over and when it is definitely safe to go and visit people again, we will be doing follow-up visits with everyone that we've helped over lockdown to ensure that
just making sure that everything is used properly and they're not, they haven't set up in such a way that maybe they're doing themselves more kind of harm.
Exactly.
like a physical thing.
An example I use a lot is usually when I'm talking about this, I'm in front of the Special Effects stand. So behind me, I've got a massive picture of one of the kids we've helped called Tiago. And Tiago actually uses a buddy button, a big plastic button on his headrest behind him.
Okay.
So to press one of the buttons, he'll like tip his head back slightly and that will activate that button.
Right.
Doesn't need a lot of force, but obviously if that was in just a little bit of the wrong place for him and he was straining,
he's going to hurt his neck or a head injury potentially.
And if that's one of the only parts of that he can control and he can move, like the last thing we want is for him to be straining his neck in any way. So it's so important to us that things are safe and done properly.
Totally.
Yeah, our occupational therapists can ensure that. So, but saying all that, we've been super busy during lockdown. They've done incredibly, and inquiries are coming in as any previous year. In fact, I think we've had more inquiries this year, and they're dealing with it so well. So shout out to the service delivery team.
So, do you know, like offhand, like typically on a week-to-week basis, what like numbers we're looking at, or you're looking at for inquiries? Is it in the thousands, in the hundreds? Is it? I'm assuming it's quite significant.
Yeah, definitely in the hundreds. I believe it's almost doubled basically from last year.
Wow.
Which is absolutely nuts, and we're taking that from repeat visits that we're doing to people and calls and stuff as well. But we've had so many new inquiries over lockdown, and I'm just so proud of the team for being able to deal with it.
Do you think that surge in like requests and just inquiries is due to awareness of people now actually understanding, oh my goodness, there's this company called Special Effect, this charity organization called Special Effect, which can actually enable everybody, all types, children all the way up to adults that need some kind of assistance with just being able to game? I mean, we don't we don't like have an advertising spend like other charities might do. So yeah, it is all kind of word of mouth. And I think recently, I think everyone's kind of had a taste of what isolation feels like. Sure.
And what not being able to be involved feels like. Mm-hmm. One of the other projects that we have is one of our newest projects is called Bubble Busters.
Okay.
And this is a program where we help children who are going through cancer treatment and who have immunodeficiency because of the treatment that they're going through, so they are unable to attend school. And we provide them with a little robot which is made by a company called No Isolation. It's an adorable little robot.
I need to see this robot now.
I mean, if I don't know what your editing skills are like. If you have it like floating on, I'll send you a picture.
I'll have it walking across the bottom of the screen, maybe, or something like that.
Really cute little robot that will sit on the desk and actually attend, like let the child attend school through the robot. And
incredible.
during, it's just and during lockdown, I think people have come to realize that isolation has a massive effect on people, and realizing how much isolation can have an effect on a child who's going through cancer, on a child who's not able to see their friends at school or take part in chatting about Fortnite on the playground, that kind of thing.
It's tough going through that at the best of times, and then it's just compounded with a lockdown scenario as well.
Absolutely.
So it's just I mean, I gush about Special Effect all the time because of the work that you all do. What has been the most remote request? You mentioned Brazil a little bit earlier there. Has there been any super obscure, almost, I don't want to say impossible, because I know the Special Effect team would never turn anybody away to say, sorry, we can't help you. But has there been any really extreme kind of location or assessment challenge?
I mentioned Brazil because I think it's the one that sticks out to me. I'm like, oh, cool, Brazil. But yeah, I mean, if someone gets in touch with us and we can help them in any way, we will make it happen. 99% of the time, that's within the UK and pre-COVID. I always used to say, if we can drive to them, if we can get to them in one of our vans, we will do. So we were going over on the ferry to Isle of Wight and Jersey and whatnot. But yeah, it's
putting on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, I honestly can't think of another.
I mean, that's pretty remote. That's pretty that's pretty far away. So no,
I think the point I want to make is if we can help, we will. And if we are unable to, we do get a lot of people get in touch saying, I'm visually impaired or I'm hard of hearing. Can you help me? And as a charity, we focus mainly on the physical disabilities, so motor movement, etc. And if we can't specifically help, we've over the years worked with different people that we can refer people to. So we'll never just go, no, we can't help you, see you later.
Sure. Absolutely.
We want to help, and we'll do our best to make that happen.
Yeah. So what does the future of Special Effect look like? Is at the moment you're doing a lot of virtual assessments which you can do remotely. Is there plans or ambition to maybe set up Special Effect in other regions, so you've got people on the ground in other countries to be able to do those physical assessments, or is that something that's maybe not feasible just yet?
Definitely not feasible just yet. I do keep volunteering myself for Special Effect Hawaii. I'm up first in line for that. But yeah, we as a charity, we are very conscious of the fact that we don't want to turn people away. So what we don't want to do is grow too quickly and be too ambitious. And
it requires proper training as well to
exactly.
The occupational therapy is such a skilled profession to get right, and
these are trained medical professionals who we trust, and it's not something that we want to rush because we want to get it right.
Totally.
And I mean, we're helping globally as much as we can currently by doing things remotely. So yeah, maybe one day I'd love that. And as I say, first in line for Hawaii, I'm there. But yeah, and the way that we're working currently as well, we're putting out a lot of videos showing people how they can adapt their controllers, or what the accessibility options are in such and such a game. We have a website called thegamaccess.info. sorry, gameaccess.info. I did a Facebook there and put a D in the front of it. And that's where our service delivery team are putting together like blog posts and videos on the work that we're doing, and that's being seen globally. When we launched iMine, which is our eye-controlled software to work with Minecraft, free on the website, open source. Wow. We actually had a video sent to us the next day from a group in Japan who were using it with their accessibility group.
Wow.
So it was amazing to see, like, although we are such a small team and we are in the UK, our work is being
it's the reach. Yeah, it's the reach worldwide.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. Wow. So to maybe bring it back to something a little bit more like not fun or anything like that. I noticed that you had like a little corgi cup or something like that. Have you named the little corgi cup yet?
The corgi cup? Yeah.
Was it a cup or was it a little statue or something that was on your desk? I can't remember what it was now.
Oh, hang on. I don't know if you can like cut out me going. So I'm just like, I just have this next to me. 1 second.
Just right here.
I was here all along.
You were here all along, yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of the game Animal Crossing, and I do have a corgi. Chester is currently warming my feet, so he might make an appearance in a second. But yeah, an
look at
artist that I've
wow,
made me a little Chester in Special Effect, and he's even got the little Special Effect logo on the back there, and my little Brewster cup.
He's got a little coffee cup as well. That's incredible.
Brewster in the game. But yeah, this is an artist called DIY Crossing who makes these completely from scratch. This is all like, I think Fimo she makes these out of and hand paints them. And she actually streamed making this, and it's just, I can't believe it's like handmade. I have a little, I'm obsessed.
And you have, oh my goodness, I love it. Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah, just a little curveball chat segue there. Oh my goodness. Is there anything else? I'm really kind of winging this interview like off the top of my head here. So is there anything that you want to share, to talk about with not just the work that the Special Effect is going on, but just maybe, I don't know, just anything you feel like getting off your chest and just chatting about? I don't know.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I actually want to go back to your thank you card. So just a quick shout out. Ali, back at the office, is the lady who I think you've got a Game Blast one there, which we get made specially. She handwrites all of these.
Yeah, they're incredible.
She goes through so many pens a year. I think she's keeping Sharpie in business, but she handwrites every card. Usually we like make them from scratch as well for events that go on like during the year. Mm-hmm. And I think it's an indication of how much our fundraisers mean to us. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we spoke about the stuff that's going on with Fall Guys at the moment, and how amazing and incredible that is. But I want to really make the point, because I've had people come to me before and say, I took part in Game Blast, I only raised 50 quid, or I only raised 500 quid, and I'm really sorry. That makes me, it gets me fired up, I have to say, because that is so incredible and so amazingly appreciated. I can't even begin to tell you, like, whether it's a $5 or 5 million, we are blown away, and we are so thankful. And the person who came to me and said, I'm so sorry, I only raised 50 quid in my Game Blast stream, then went on to tell me, like, oh, but I did have one person who was part of a Facebook group for mothers in their area who had children with this certain disability, and they're going to go tell their Facebook group. And I'm like, do you realize what you've done? This is amazing. Like, there you
go. It's awareness, is word of mouth. You've got the message out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, support is not just monetary. Like, you are doing amazing things by supporting us. You guys doing Game Blast every year and doing this interview, a simple like and a retweet on Twitter, it all counts, and it all gets us out there. It all gets us seen. Like, And I do not care if you raise a 5 or you raise 5 billion, like, just, you are amazing. So, and I really want to get that out there, because a lot of people at the moment with the Fall Guys stuff are going, oh, I can't donate £100,000. What do I do? And I'm like, like a retweet, anything is so helpful. I want to, if I could get up on the roof and shout that, I'd look really weird, but just that is such a big message I want to share at the moment. Like, everything helps, everything.
It is. I couldn't agree more. And it's just amazing to see so many people talking about special effects, sharing stories, sharing, no matter how small, no matter obviously how big. It's an amazing company, and the work that is done is just phenomenal. And I just love the charity to bits. It's near and dear to my heart. Our gaming community are huge fans of Special Effect as well. So to have you talking about talking about Special Effect and the work that you do, and the stories that and the background that we're maybe never like privy to, would never normally get to hear about. I think it's hugely valuable. So thank you so much for giving me your time this morning, and having a good old blather for 45 minutes or thereabouts. So it's been wonderful, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time and allowing to be the first guest that doesn't have a beard on the Weekend Catch-Up Club. Because
I mean, lockdown's not been too like the camera's pretty fuzzy. I mean, I'm working on it now. Am I really? Am I the first non-bearded guest?
You are. The way it's turned out is so. My first guest was community.
Sorted my hair out.
You could bleat it around there, yeah, like a Viking or something.
There's your thumbnail.
Yeah, my first guest was Sold Out Games community manager, who has a beard, as it turns out. Then I had community manager from Sega Europe, Ibs, the wonderful Ibs. He's got a beard. And then I had another couple of guests on from different groups, and as it turned out, they all had beards as well. It must be the lockdown thing. It's got to be. So it's like, okay, if I'm lucky enough to get a female guest on, maybe I should say, can you just like wear a fake beard so we keep the trend going?
Oh man, I totally would have done that. Hang on, Chester, come here. I'll just hold him in front of my face.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, anyway, thank you again for your time and for hanging out.
You. And honestly, thank you for having me on. It's this is one of the things I'm talking about, where I'm like, the spreading the word about us is so helpful and so important. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Nobody likes being left out. That's why Special Effect are helping people with physical disabilities to play video games. But this isn't just about having fun. The gaming setups we create are personalised, so people can play to the very best of their abilities. And that opens the door to inclusion and independence, confidence and creativity. Help us level the playing field and create more magical gaming moments. Because it's everyone's turn to play.